Good morning. Welcome to Roots of Alchemy. I'm Kathryn Delaney, and this is your daily tarot for Saturday, August 22nd, 2020. Let's go ahead and take a look at today's cards. The first card for today is the Five of Pentacles reversed. So when the Five of Pentacles is upright, it means either loss or prosperity because it's a pentacle ruled card, which is speaking to our value system, our financial situation, monetary situation, our physical situation. And it's a number 5. So it speaks to like a fork in the road, a shift in circumstances. And the characters, as you can see in this card, are experiencing loss. But some people are looking to this, church type window here, this stained glass window, for a sense of hope, which is why it's typically associated with the idea of loss or prosperity. Now when it's reversed, it's telling us that there's a new perspective or a new way of seeing things. Perhaps in the last few months our focus has been strictly on the financial situation, and our belief system has been driving a lot of our interactions in regard to like who we surround ourselves with and who we, are working with. And perhaps we have experienced, some sense of loss. I think everyone has experienced a loss in some way, whether it's friendships or their jobs or a lot of different things that we actually value quite a bit. But this is speaking to a new perspective, this idea being turned upside down, a shift in circumstances, because the pentacles are associated with the element of earth, which is, a stable element typically, and this is being turned upside down. That stability that we have always maybe anchored ourselves in has moved, right? And there's a lot of concern and worry around that. And yet I want to remind people, if we do look at nature and see how nature adjusts itself after, perhaps a big earth shift, plants do get anchored, people do get anchored again. Sometimes shifts happen that are completely out of our control, and it's not useful to actually beat ourselves up for not having control in a situation that is uncontrollable. All we can really do is re-anchor ourselves, just like a plant does once it's repotted and it's transported. It re-anchors itself once it lands, and then grows from that new space. And so if we look at this next card, I think it's speaking to that, because this next card that we have is the King of Wands. And so it's a fixed fire associated card. So it is associated with Leo, which is a sign that's ruled by the heart. So this is, and the sun. So this is a card that is, bringing our attention to either a sense of this person's character in ourselves, or perhaps someone in our own life that we can look to in this manner. This card is associated with someone who is leading by example, right? Like they're not leading people by a sense of forcefulness or authority. They're leading people more by a way of their own actions and how that inspires other people to act, right? So consider, for instance, like if you were, for whatever reason, transported out of the situation that you're in now and put on a desert island, right? What would you do to help your community? Would you throw a fit about everything that you lost from where you came from? Would you argue about spiritual belief systems? Would you, where would you put your attention if you were put in that isolated situation with a group of people? Like you would, hopefully, if you were a character like this person in this card, you would lead by example. You would look for what's necessary to take care of first and foremost, then look to the next thing, then look to the next thing, and put your attention immediately on your situation at hand, and literally lead people by leading from compassion and a place of heartfulness, right? Because being associated with the zodiac symbol of Leo, this card is ruled by the sun and rules over the heart and our creative center. So how can you be creative in what shows up today and lead people by example in whatever way that shows up? Now, this card that we have for the final card today is the High Priestess. And while these two cards may look similar in that they both have really nobly dressed characters, this card here is a bigger deal. This card is one of the major arcana in the tarot system, which is 22 card, a set of 22 cards within the 78 card deck. And what they speak to is major lessons that we're learning in life, as well as situations that we don't get any control over, right? And so what the character is doing in this card is they're sitting and they're waiting. This card is associated with the moon, which is a body in our astrology system, or in our galaxy, that moves by cycles, by 28-day cycles. And so there is something in your life, in all of our lives, that we are all in a period of waiting about. There's something that will be revealed in time. You can't force it. If there's something that you want to know or want to manifest, it could be an important time to actually consider how you speak about those things, rather than, speaking about it in such a way that, it's like, oh, based on the circumstances, this is never going to happen because of XYZ. Like, that's a really limiting way to speak about things. Something that holds more potential, which, if you're familiar with Dr. Masaru Emoto's work, how we speak about things does change the molecular structure of the water that's in our body, the water that we drink. How we speak to plants affects them. How we speak to one another, it affects us all. It's a vibration that actually does affect the molecular system of water, which is interesting. And an important side note to consider how we speak to ourselves on a daily basis. But back to what I was saying, being that this card is ruled by the moon and is a very watery ruled card, it is bringing light to that kind of like light, dark, yes, no way that we speak to things. And so if there is something that you want to create in your life that you feel some limitation around, I invite you or encourage you to speak about it in a different way. For example, I'm really looking forward to this happening. I can't wait to see how it manifests, rather than based on the situation that, sorry about that siren, I live on a busy street. Rather than based on the situation that we're all in this, I don't see when this could possibly happen, which is very limiting. Instead, there's the idea of, like, I am really looking forward to seeing how this shows up in my life, because that almost like throws this like pixie dust into the air that the elements and your own wishes and your own desires can act upon, rather than the limiting side of it, which is how, for some reason, we've been trained to think about things. So that is our reading for today. I think it's important that we, allow time itself to have some influence on what we're creating, because we forget that, right? We forget that there is this additional piece out there in the universe that affects our lives, and that brings things into our lives and brings things out of our lives. And rather than being so attached to what we think is important, I think what we're really seeing is almost like a wearing down and a weathering of a stone that we've been clinging to for a really long time. And there's a revealing that's happening that is ultimately, you know, going to open things up for us and shift things for us in a positive way. So that is our reading for today, Saturday, August 22nd, 2020. If you're interested in a personal reading for yourself, please reach out to me at rootsofalchemy@gmail.com. I offer 1 hour readings that are 12 card readings. If you know what time of birth or what your exact time of birth is, we can also look up your natal chart and incorporate that and see where the transits are happening right now for you as well. I also am a certified nutritionist, herbalist, and aromatherapist, and offer a really unique product that is a channeled aromatherapy blend, which I call Messages in a Bottle. If you're interested in that, please also reach out to me at rootsofalchemy@gmail.com. Or if you have any other questions or interest in learning medicine making, sewing, all kinds of different things that I have. I've had a very rich life of learning many different skills. So I just want to offer them to you all here. I hope you have a blessed day and enjoy your weekend, and I will see you again soon.